We're hosting a special screening tonight here at our offices in Greenpoint, and we had a lot of very excited people that they got a call saying you have won 2 tickets to come along and see a restored version of a movie called Joe Bullitt, which was filmed in 1971, starring Ken Gampu. And I had the great pleasure of doing a couple of movies with Ken in the 80s during my acting years, and he plays a guy called Joe Bullitt, who is called in to sort out the problem of a local soccer team, the Eagles, who are being attacked by a mysterious gangster. They're a week before a championship final, and only Joe Bullitt can save them from their predicament and allow them to run onto the field with nothing to worry about but the football. Ben Cowley's with us in the studio, and Ben is responsible for the digital restoration of this film. He's with Gravel Road African Film Legacy. Hi.
Hi.
Your first exposure to Joe Bullitt?
Oh, about 8 months ago, we were actually introduced to the original producer of the show, or the film, so to speak, and he happened to bring up Joe Bullitt in conversation, just as a by the way, saying that he had these 5 rolls of film stashed under his bed at home, and didn't quite know what to do with them. And upon further investigation, we actually discovered what kind of a gem this actually was that he had.
What did you think as you watched it?
He has watched it. Obviously, he hadn't seen it in a very long time.
But I mean, when you watched it
when I watched it for the first time, I was kind of blown away because as majority of South Africans were not aware that there actually is this type of genre of film. I mean, it's South African blaxploitation genre, so to speak. So I was blown away by it, and also specifically given the time of 1971, when there wasn't really mainstream entertainment being produced for predominantly African audiences, that kind of further solidified that this is something that has to be, restored and brought back to the public.
Is it a film, Ben, which is interesting as an historical curiosity, or is it complete unto itself as a watchable film, albeit one with a sort of period aspect to it?
I think it comes. It's both, actually. I mean, we've got the advantage, obviously, is that the history of the film itself does already make for an interesting story, and just added to that the entertainment value within that story. So if you were to take any other film out of that period, looking at that particular genre, it's just pure entertainment. But the added value is, yes, I mean, it was banned in 1973 by the apartheid government, and that just makes it that much more interesting, I think, to audiences, both on an academic level and obviously on an entertainment level.
Was that it? 1973, that was it? That the film died after that?
Correct. It only ever had 2 official screenings at the Yetu Cinema in Soweto in 1973, and then it was pulled, and
well, I mean, the apartheid government did some crazy things, but why would they have been particularly perturbed by this movie?
The film is about it depicts an all African world, so to speak, and it had particular shots of Ken Gampu wielding a gun, portraying an aspirational character. And our understanding and our research into it is that the government at the time obviously did not want to create anything that could potentially create any sort of uprising or aspirational characters that people would want to be. And there's one shot in particular in the film with Ken actually doing target practice with his revolver, and that is apparently the scene that actually got the film banned. So fortunately, they did appeal the ban, and the ban was lifted, but the producers took the decision not to actually release the film again.
So I spent close to 3 weeks on location with Ken in the Umtamvuma Gorge in 85 or 86 it would have been, and we spent a lot of time talking, and he never mentioned this movie.
And that was actually his start in the South African industry, or South African film industry, so to speak. And interestingly enough, there's actually a sequel to Joe Bullitt as well, even though the first one had never really been seen. But that was his trigger mechanism to actually say, I want to pursue acting.
Mm. And I mean, so what you've done is you've taken the celluloid and digitized it. So
correct. There are only 2 prints in existent, film prints, 35mm prints, not even the negative copy of the film. And we had to digitize those and then go through a painstaking process of actually digitally remastering and actually fixing up scratches, dust, you name it, blemishes, audio, all those things. We had to actually go frame by frame through the film and actually digitally remaster.
And so now it looks like a film which was shot in HD. Not quite.
Not quite. We're not presenting Titanic remastered. We've had the constant discussions around whether or not we maintain the integrity and the charm of the film from its period. So we are trying to make it interesting and more appealing to a more modern audience. But at the same time, we need to maintain the historical aspect of it. And by that meaning, we have to actually maintain some of the old aged integrity of the film.
And it's got the special screening tonight here at our offices. What are there commercial plans for after that?
Correct. There are. We've got the film has been selected to premiere. Its official African premiere will be at the Durban International Film Festival in July this year. And so once we've done the festival route, there's a couple other international film industries that have film festivals, that have reached out to us. So we expect for the balance of this year to be doing predominantly festivals, and after that do a commercial run, television, potentially DVD.
I mean, will it move into four-wall cinemas in South Africa?
If the right distributor comes along and says that they want to take it on, that's always the challenge.
And will a distributor come along? Will a distributor see a potential commercial return from this movie?
Yes, because varying factors are there that actually give us the edge in terms of this. This is content that hasn't been seen before. This is content that is produced for an audience that typically doesn't have content produced for it even today. So from that perspective, it's local content. So hopefully that does give it some legs in local cinemas.
Ben Cowley, thank you very much indeed. CEO of Gravel Road African Film Legacy, responsible for restoring, digitising this movie. Joe Bullitt, filmed in the early 70s, banned by the apartheid government in 1973. Only 2 showings ever. So if you have an invitation to come along and watch it at our studios tonight, you're part of a very